Can someone who's done terrible things still earn forgiveness? That's the question at the heart of Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia. On the surface, it's a film about coincidence, chance, and one extraordinary day in Los Angeles. But underneath all of that, it's about something much more universal. It's about pain, the pain we inherit, the pain we pass on, and whether anyone is ever truly beyond saving. And just before we get into it, if you like analysis on movies that stay with us long after they end, please consider clicking subscribe. Magnolia follows multiple lives over the course of a single day in Los Angeles. A dying man haunted by regret, a son who has built his life on anger, a woman drowning in guilt, a lonely man desperate to be loved, a child pushed too far, and strangers who in small and unexpected ways begin to connect. Their stories don't just run alongside each other, they collide, sometimes subtly but sometimes with a sense that something bigger is holding it all together. And by the end you don't feel like you've watched a story neatly resolved, you feel like you've witnessed something incredibly real and relatable. What this film understands in a way very few do is that what you go through doesn't necessarily create something that's good or bad. Sometimes it creates compassion, sometimes it creates distance, sometimes love, sometimes anger, isolation and resentment. What we're really watching is a group of people all carrying something unresolved, all trying in their own way to deal with it. Each person in the film responds differently because these aren't just adults making choices, they're children who never learned how to truly deal with what happened to them. Take Frank T.J. Mackey, played excellently by Tom Cruise. On the surface, he's all about control, confidence, performance, this exaggerated version of masculinity.
No! You will not control me! No! You will not take my soul! No! You will not win this game!
But underneath it, there's something else entirely. I genuinely think this might be the greatest performance of Tom Cruise's career, because when that shield finally cracks, in those scenes with his dying father, what comes out isn't just anger, it's grief. He tells Earl, played by Jason Robards, that he hates him, that he wants him to suffer. But as he's saying it, he's breaking, he's crying, and you realise that underneath all of that hatred, there's love. And maybe that moment needed to happen. Maybe Frank had to say all of that. Because Earl Partridge spends the entire film talking about regret, about the things he's done wrong, and this feels like the culmination of that. And Earl lets his son say it, not because he's too weak to respond, but maybe he understands this is what his son needs. The pain has to come out. And in doing that, Frank begins to change, because by the end of that scene, he's not shouting anymore, he's not fighting, he's just there with his father. And when we later see him go to the hospital to see Earl's widow Linda, played by Julianne Moore, there's a sense, however small, that something in him has shifted, that he might finally be opening himself up to possible forgiveness. Linda Partridge is an extraordinary performance from Julianne Moore. Linda's one of the most human characters in the film. She's made mistakes, she's lived selfishly, and she realises too late that she loved Earl, that she spent too long living for herself, and now she has to sit with that. And it's painful to watch because it feels so real, and this is why the point of Magnolia is so important, because what Linda did is human. Mistakes are human, even bad ones. And the fact that she truly regrets it, the fact that it's tearing her apart, tells you everything. She's not a bad person, she's flawed, she's broken, but she's also full of love. And that's the contradiction the film keeps coming back to. That same idea runs through Jim Curring, played by John C. Reilly, in another absorbing performance, because Jim is just a good man. He's not perfect, he's not heroic, but he's genuinely trying to do the right thing in a world that doesn't always make sense. His relationship with Claudia Gator, played by Melora Walters, is one of the most tender parts of the film, because what he does is he sees her, not her mistakes, not her past, he just sees her. And that's incredibly powerful, because even at the end, he doesn't know everything about her. He doesn't know about the full extent of her struggles, but he's willing to accept her anyway. And that's where change can begin, not in judgment, but in being seen, in being truly accepted. And it makes that final moment between them so quietly beautiful. And then after everything the film puts you through, it ends on something small, but real. And then you have Stanley Spector, played by Jeremy Blackman. He's maybe the most important thread of all. Stanley is a child, he represents the beginning. We're watching in real time what happens when a child's feelings and needs are ignored. And what's powerful about Stanley is that he fights back. He stands up. He tries to take control of his life even at such a young age. And that's incredibly hard to do. It's what every character in this film needed to do, but couldn't. And that makes Stanley quietly inspirational.
Dad, you need to be nicer to me.
Whether his overbearing father changes or not, Stanley has. And maybe that's how his cycle will get broken. Because Magnolia is all about cycles. Parents who didn't think about the consequences of their actions until it was too late. People like Earl, people like Claudia's dad, Jimmy Gator. Men who carry regret at the end of their lives. And in the case of Jimmy Gator, the film does something really interesting. We never fully know the truth. We don't know exactly what happened with his daughter. Bad things are implied, suggested, but never confirmed. And that feels deliberate, because Magnolia isn't interested in clean answers. It's not black and white. Sometimes we don't fully need to understand what happened. We just have to see the result. And the result is a daughter in pain. Finally, there's Donnie Smith, played by William H. Macy. He's a really tragic character.
I really do have love to give. I just don't know where to put it.
That line might personify the entire film, because that's what connects all these people. This desperation to be loved, to experience something real, but not knowing how to. So it comes out wrong, or too late, or not at all. By the end of Magnolia, there's something quietly happening. If you look at who's left, Linda, Donnie, Frank, Stanley, Jim, Claudia, they're still here. After everything, after the chaos, the pain, the randomness, they come out the other side of it. And maybe they're going to be okay. Not fixed, not healed, but still here, still moving. Maybe Magnolia isn't about solving pain. Maybe it's about something much more honest than that. That the only way through it is to go through it. To ride the wave, to let it happen, to let the chaos and the hurt have its day. By the end, no one is truly okay, but no one is fighting what is anymore either. They're just moving forward in whatever way they can, and that feels so true to life. You don't avoid the pain, you come out the other side of it. And that's why this film feels so real. It understands something very simple but very difficult, that life is unpredictable. And like Carl Rogers once said, it's an awfully risky thing to live. The only way forward is forward. Like Jimmy says in the film, sometimes people just need to be forgiven. And that's not easy. And this film doesn't excuse that. I don't think that's what Paul Thomas Anderson was intending to do at all. He does ask you to see it, to witness it, to hopefully understand it, and to remember that underneath everything, there's still a human being trying to find their way through it all.